This is the new Hohem M7 gimbal, and as smartphone gimbals go, this is one of the most exciting gimbals in the market today, because Hohem is once again giving you something that no other gimbal can do. And this is not just a complete revamp on the popular M6. I mean, they've literally improved on every possible aspect. But they're giving you complete new features, like for instance this detachable remote on-off that is also remote control and a live preview screen. There are so many new features in this gimbal. Now the question is this the best smartphone gimbal in the market today? Let's find out. So let's start with the obvious, which is the LCD screen or remote on-off. I think this is, in my opinion, an absolute game changer and what makes this gimbal so special, because this is a detachable remote control as well as a remote on-off, and you have an integrated live preview of what it is that you're doing, and it's all integrated within the gimbal itself, so you don't have to worry about forgetting your remote on-off somewhere or leaving it behind. Another thing that is great is the fact that all axes now have locks, and they're really solid and sturdy, so you don't have to worry about the issues that you have with the M6, that after a while the locks start to give way and then you have a dangling gimbal everywhere you go. That's a really big improvement in my opinion, and it goes without saying that the sensor itself has been improved. So still is the same technology, it works in exactly the same way, but now you have an integrated camera that is paired with this remote control, and it's just the whole thing. It's so well done. There is so much to talk about this gimbal. Now, one of the things that I like to do with all these new gimbals is to make sure that there are no restrictions of movement. And with this gimbal, you have none whatsoever. You can go up and down and up, and there are no issues with the tilting range of any kind. You can easily attach a monopod at the base of the gimbal and do really nice crane shots. All the gimbal modes are here. You can engage the log mode and it's gonna look really nice. You can literally create professional looking shots with this gimbal. And on top of all of that, you have now an increased payload of 500 grams, which means that you can pretty much put any accessories on your phone and the gimbal is gonna take it. And to make things even better, you also have an additional thread that you can use counterweights in case that you need to counterbalance the gimbal better. And you're not gonna have any jerky movements and everything is gonna be really nice and smooth. Now, what makes this gimbal so special is this AI tracker, because Hohem was the first company that released an AI tracking sensor, and now all the companies are copying it. But this sensor now has an integrated camera built inside. And I'm gonna create a little sequence now to show you how it works and how well this is integrated with this remote LCD, so that if you are a solo filmmaker or a solo content creator, you can create really amazing looking footage. The shot I'm gonna do is I'm going to walk from this side into this area, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take this detachable screen and tell the gimbal that I want to be framed on the right side of the gimbal. I'm going to reframe it now using the remote control, and I want to be on the left side of the frame, okay? And now the gimbal is tracking and I turn the recording on with the remote on off, and let's do this shot. This next shot is a slightly wider one, and it's just the gimbal picking me up as I walk down this path onto this really nice location. For this next shot, which is gonna intercut as I arrive to this location, I'm literally just gonna do a shot where I start from the ground and I tilt up or crane up to sort of reveal this beautiful bridge. And again, back to what I said earlier in the video, because there are no restrictions of movement whatsoever, this is a very easy shot to do. For this final shot, I'm just gonna be arriving to this spot and admire the bridge, which actually is one of my favorite bridges in London with Tower Bridge. This is called the Albert Bridge. There is a really interesting story behind this bridge, but you know, for another video. But at night, if you are ever in London and you want to have a very romantic spot, this is really nice. Anyway, back to the video, which is what matters. What is great about this is that I'm using the rear lens, which is infinitely better than the front selfie lens. And this is because this sensor is detachable. You can either use the front lens or the rear lenses, so you always want to use the rear lenses whenever possible. Keep tracking me, I'm recording, and let's do the shot. Just like that, we finish our mini little sequence, and hopefully this illustrates how amazing this gimbal is for any solo content creator and how incredible this tracker with this LCD is. If I can find it in my pocket now. There, because I have this screen here and I can see a preview of what I'm doing. I know that I'm correctly framed now. And this is really and truly amazing. And this is not something that you're gonna get from any other gimbal out there. And if vlogging is your thing, this is great because this detachable sensor means that you can put it facing the direction of the rear lenses and then triple tap the gimbal spins, and you can now have a preview of what your lens is seeing on this actual LCD monitor. And on top of all of that, look at this. It's a selfie stick. This is amazing. And if you worry about seeing the gimbal on the actual lens, all you need to do is tap 4 times and then it spins onto wide angle mode, and then you don't have to worry about seeing the motors of the gimbal. And what makes it even better is that the remote on-off switch works with third-party apps. So for instance, I have the Blackmagic camera app, and if I press record, now I'm recording a vlog with a selfie stick on a fairly wide angle lens. And if I now swipe to the left, I can then get a preview of the shot that I'm doing, and I know that I've got the right framing now. And if you are the kind of person that likes to film in vertical mode, look how easy it is to go from horizontal to vertical. You literally just hold the phone in 45 degrees and you can quickly switch from horizontal to vertical and then back to horizontal again. Obviously, this is for the odd shot here and there. If you do a whole day of vertical filming, you just twist the clamp, mount the phone vertically. And what is great about this gimbal is that when you mount the phone vertically, you have no restrictions of movement whatsoever. You have the same functionality whether it is horizontal or vertical. But there is one thing that doesn't quite work the same vertically as it does horizontally, and that is the camera and the LCD framing, okay? Because it does look off. It's not as good and reliable as it is on horizontal. This is not a compact gimbal, okay? When you buy a gimbal like this, you are making a conscious decision that you are taking a gimbal that is definitely a lot bulkier and bigger than the compact ones. But what you trade in size, you gain it in functionality and ease of use. Camera. And what is great about this gimbal now is that if I want to do any low angle shots, I can just lower the gimbal, pull the screen from the gimbal, and then just do the shot. And I get a real-time preview of what it is that I'm doing. I can just move the gimbal and have a preview on this screen. And when it comes to talking about the standout features that make this gimbal so special, I have to say this LCD is fantastic, because not only you can browse all the settings that you could possibly think of. I mean, there are so many options you have now compared to the M6 that was quite basic, but it's also a remote control, it's a remote on-off switch, it's an LCD that gives you a preview of what the smartphone is looking at, and you can detach it and take it with you. And in that regard, if underslang is something that you do a lot, Hohem has this handle that you can attach a part on the actual gimbal. It doesn't take up too much space, but then you have a proper underslang handle, and that's gonna help you a lot. And when you pair that with the fact that the camera app that comes with this gimbal now is an actual decent app, it has everything that you could possibly think of, you can clearly see that someone's put some thought and time into that. It kind of looks a little bit like the DJI Mimo app, but when I've used the app, I have no problem with it. It's functional, it does everything that an app is supposed to do. So in that regard, Hohem has done a really good job. And when it comes down to the actual physical features of this gimbal, you have the mode button just as you had on the M6. Very easy, I mean, that's great. You press it and it changes the modes. You got your remote on off, you got the joystick to control movement of the gimbal, which again, all of these, you can change the settings through the LCD. You can do it also on the app, but you can just do it on the LCD screen, and that's so nice. You can change the joystick, the strength of the motors. You can also now change what the jog wheel does, and this is something that the M6 was lacking in my opinion, because the functionality was very basic. Now you can set this jog wheel to do focus, but also to adjust the tilt, the roll, the pan, the intensity of the LCD light. I mean, there is a lot more functionality on this jog wheel, and it's done really good. And one thing that is done very good in relation to the camera app is the zooming, okay? Because if you now set the zooming to 1%, you can actually use that zooming halfway through a shot, because it's really nice and smooth, which is not something that you get with any camera app out there these days, I would say. Another thing that is great and actually much easier on this gimbal are moving time lapses, because you can't do them on the app, but you can now do them on the LCD screen, and you can adjust any parameter within the LCD, whether it is via the touch screen or with the joystick. And it goes without saying that this is a gimbal, and the stabilization is very good. They have improved on the M6, and you saw the clips at the beginning of this video. Everything was really nice and smooth. What it feels to me is that Hohem went out and told the engineers, take the best features from all the other gimbals in the market and let's put them together into the one gimbal, improve on what we are already good at, make it better, and bring additional functionality and features to make a gimbal that offers something that no other gimbal offers in the market today. But the perfect gimbal doesn't exist, and this one isn't either. So what are the things that they are not so great about this gimbal? And there are not many. And if anything, I would say that if you film in a very quiet room, whether it's a studio or your home, somewhere where there is not much noise going on, and you record the sound internally on the smartphone built-in microphones, you might hear a little bit the motors, okay? Out and about in a park, in a forest, in the streets, you're not gonna hear it, but if you're in a very quiet room, you might hear it. And another thing is the fact that the focal length on the lens on the sensor is not quite the same to the focal length that you find on most smartphones, and that includes Samsung and iPhone. Usually an iPhone or a Samsung has a main lens at 24mm and the ultra wide at 13mm, but the focal length on this sensor seems to be around the 20mm. It does take a little bit of trial and error to work out where you need to be on the LCD so that the framing is right on the phone, but it didn't take me more than 15-20 minutes to work it out. And what it would be really amazing is if you actually had a 13mm ultra wide on this lens in this sensor, and you could then punch into a 24 if you go from an ultra wide to standard lens, because the LCD is relatively small and you don't need 4K quality here. You just need something to look at your frame and to know that you are framing yourself correctly. And if Hohem is listening now, I think what they could do for the M8 maybe is to make this smartphone mount detachable, so that you can then take it from the gimbal and put it on a tripod and then take this LCD screen and pop it, boom, here at the back. So that way, if you do any static shots like this one on a smartphone, you can get a preview of what it is that you're filming. That should be a very helpful feature. But as a whole, that's all the negative I have to say about this gimbal. So is this gimbal worth it? And I think if you're a solo content creator, well, any type of content creator, this gimbal is actually fantastic, because it gives you something that no other gimbal in the market can give you. And this new LCD screen is amazing. The fact that it's a detachable remote control, it's a remote on off, it's a live preview integrated with the AI sensor. Whether you are filming, vlogging, filming yourself or filming other people, this gimbal does it, and it does it really well. The stabilization is now actually really good. I have tried to find something negative about this gimbal. I tried to break it, I tried to use it in weird ways, and it just works. This M7 is an amazing follow-up to the M6. And if you want to see my comparison between the M6 and the M7, click this video here. I think you're gonna find it really interesting. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It's nice to see the numbers going up, and I'll see you in the next one.